新年快樂!
Hello and welcome back to our channel. This is the
Do
Ray
Me
Girls. And we would like to wish everyone a happy Chinese New Year and send you all some blessings.
身體健康，
大吉大利。
恭喜發財，利是逗來。
Today we're bringing you another special episode where we are color-coded as well. We're all wearing red in celebration of Chinese New Year. I also made us some very special Chinese Yongsan Tong Cha. So it's basically like some herbal tea in a way. It's not like the typical like black herbal tea that you guys would find at restaurants, but it has like a lot of health benefits and you can really pick and choose what you want to put in here. So I have some expensive stuff today.
I can taste the expensive stuff. There's like some skincare stuff in there.
Yeah, some skincare stuff. We got the goji berries. We got the red dates. We got half an apple. The apples are expensive these days, you know.
What'd you do with the other half?
Yeah.
I ate it.
Okay.
Introduce the topic.
Okay, so you guys know that new social media trend that's been going around where people are in a very Chinese time of their lives.
Oh yeah, I don't really know what that means. But
That means
I've been
drinking
hearing
hot
about
tea.
Okay.
It means drinking your Yongsan Tong Cha.
Actually,
So
you
that's
know
just
what?
been our whole lives.
Yeah, basically. The trend is in line with the timing of Chinese New Year. So I thought it'd be like a fitting topic to talk to our girlies and boys about
Our audience.
our audience. How would you describe this trend? So since Leona doesn't even know what it is, Jay, you want to take this one a little bit?
You haven't seen it on social media?
It's everywhere.
I'm not a doom scroller, but I've heard from my friends that it's like a trend. I just don't really I haven't seen any content about it yet.
I see.
Truthfully, I don't really know where it originated from either. I just keep seeing people saying, oh, this is a very Chinese time of my life. And then when I'm on TikTok, I see people who are not ethnically Chinese or just like they look white. I don't know, just like non-Chinese people. And they're like, what do you know about being Chinese? And they speak in Chinese. I was like, oh, wait, what?
Yeah.
So it's just like, I don't know. I think the vibes are like drink hot water, like I don't know what other trends there
Like
have been.
Qipaos are in now, like Cheongsams are in now.
Have they
Okay.
caught on to Yeet Hey yet?
Oh shit, maybe
Have they?
we should introduce Yeet
Yeah,
Hey to
we
them.
could.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, would you like to explain what Yeet Hey is?
Well, the direct translation is hot air, and it's just anything that I don't really know what it is, but it's like this. Like I feel like growing up, Dad's always just like "Come Yeet Hey ke," and I feel like it's like things that were like fried or like battered, oily things, just like kind of unhealthy.
I think it's just anytime we have like a pimple.
Yep.
If like we're breaking out, if we have fevers, if we're sick, there's no other reason other than
Everything is just Yeet Hey.
Yeah, it's just like
Yeah.
ta yeet hey la, like whatever you eat is to yeet hey. And I think it probably originates from TCM, which is traditional Chinese medicine, which this tea is also part of TCM as well. And it's a lot about like the temperatures of your body and the yin yang of your body. I'm totally butchering this. I don't even know if yin yang is
this
part of
sounds really
TCM.
weird.
It
This
is.
sounds like
it
legit,
is.
though.
It is.
Okay,
Yeah.
It's legit.
Like if it's like the winter, you should be like warming your body up, and then in the summer they're like cooling things. So actually I added chrysanthemum to this tea, and chrysanthemum's cooling, and so you're technically not supposed to like have it in your herbal tea in the winter, but I just put whatever tastes good. But yeah, the general idea is like anything that's bad is caused by yeet hey.
I don't know how we're going to edit this because this is a whole video too. Because if we're sharing Yeet Hey, I have so many other Chinese things to share.
Oh, really?
That's
What do you mean? Oh, really? It's a whole culture with like thousands of years of history.
Yeah, but
Passed down.
I
I'm
think we
saying
can just stitch it back.
I'm saying like the
Yeah,
prominent things, you know, like
The most prominent thing from Chinese culture you can think of is Yeet Hey.
one of those things. I kept hearing it growing up. Dad kept yelling
Alright.
at me.
Yeah.
I mean, like it's prominent. I just don't know if that's the first thing I would
we can just
choose.
introduce them to this concept.
Why do you think this is a trend right now? Like, why do you think Chinese culture is trending right now? I think it's a few reasons, right? So one reason, obviously, TikTok is a Chinese platform. And like, we're just seeing more Chinese influence through the app a little bit or Chinese content, right? Like we're being more exposed to stuff from there. I think the other part of it is China being America's biggest adversary right now. It makes sense that we're paying attention to them. And as we're paying attention to them, it's only natural to learn more about the culture and, you know, maybe find a few things cool. Because there are a lot of cool things. I think also like China's rise, if you will, in certain media aspects, like kind of like TikTok, like we said before, but even the game that I'm streaming, Love in Deep Space, it's a Chinese game, right? And it won like the 2025 #1 mobile game of the year. So I think it's just like through those outlets, people are being exposed to more Chinese culture.
I agree with everything that you say. Maybe I'm just hesitant on sharing an opinion because sometimes I wonder if like we're in a small like subset bubble on social media. Sometimes I just wonder like if the things I'm seeing and then the things that you guys send me or when I send my friends, like we're living in like a like our own
Like an echo chamber.
Asian American like silo.
Yeah.
And so I just never really understood the Chinese time in my life trend, like how far reaching it is. And so everything that you said makes sense, right? Like I've seen theories of like, oh, people are now interested in China because we see that they're so advanced in technology and the way that they live. I think because we kind of grew up in both worlds, like it's nothing new to me and nothing like super shocking. And I'm just like, oh yeah, like that's cool that it's being recognized. But at the same time, like I do see a lot of like Asian creators speaking out about this trend. And then I see some like non-Asian people just like making trends about this. So I'm not really sure like why this is happening or how far reaching it is or what the cause or root is.
Okay.
Yeah. But I hear whatever you said made sense to me. I just sometimes worry like I'm living in like my own little like chamber.
Yeah. So what's your first reaction when you see Chinese era content?
I personally am not that offended. I don't know. I think some people have very strong opinions, but I'm like, that's cool.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't really seen anything offensive yet. It seems like it's all pretty like good characteristics.
I definitely wouldn't say I'm offended, but my first reaction, I would say I had really mixed feelings because the stuff that we got bullied for growing up is now cool. I think overall, I'm kind of like with Jay, as in like, I'm not offended. I think it's a good thing overall that culture is being shared, but there's definitely mixed feelings for me. And like to say that I'm like, oh, like this is so cool, like that was my first reaction, that would be fake.
Maybe like I'm a little indifferent because like just because people are doing the trend, I don't think they actually understand what it means to actually culturally be Chinese or live in a very Chinese way. I'm just like, oh, this is maybe like I've just seen so many trends happening on the internet. I'm like, okay, like it's another trend as long as it's not like offensive.
Yeah.
And I think as people of Chinese heritage, like we've been through a lot worse. We're like, there's just a lot of xenophobia during the pandemic. So like low-key, maybe I'm just like so traumatized, or I'm just like, as long as like they're not like being mean to us, like anything's fine.
Yeah.
You know? So maybe that was my initial reaction. I didn't really have too much of a reaction, but I have seen like other creators come up and saying like, oh, my culture is not your trend. Like,
well, I don't know if I feel that strongly.
Yeah.
I just like my initial reaction was just, this is weird. I got bullied for this growing up. And now it's cool.
Yeah. But also at the same time, like in the back of my head strategically, I was like, it's not terrible that like Chinese culture has a little bit of soft power now. There's this whole concept, I'm sure a lot of you guys know, of soft and hard power. And I think like when we think of Japan and Korea, they just have a lot of soft power with entertainment and K-pop and anime. And then I think with China, I think it's like kind of big scary guy with the big stick kind of thing. And so there's a lot of hard power, and I think there's a lot of soft like wenhua that comes with China that is not as widely celebrated or marketed as well. So I don't think it's like a net bad thing.
I do think culture is meant to be shared. I just think it was weird seeing, you know.
Well, that's actually how I felt when anime started becoming cool, because I think I felt weirder about like liking anime as a kid when anime started becoming cool. I think it was like during COVID. I was just like, this is really weird, and this has been like something I've liked like this whole time. So it felt like, I think part of me felt like kind of like weird about it, because I was like, dang, like I did used to get I was made fun of for liking this in the past, and now it's cool.
Same with K-pop, right?
But I think eventually I was like, oh, like, you know, I'm glad that this is getting the recognition it deserves.
I grew up as a closeted K-pop fan. like just dancing to K-pop in my room. I think Leona and I kind of like tried to scheme to like take the train down from upstate New York to the city to audition to be part of a K-pop.
I mean, I would never, but I was like her biggest fan. I
Yeah,
can't dance
thanks.
or anything, but I was like, you should do it. Like,
yeah, I'm just in my room like practicing and like
I would cheer for you.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, she would practice in front of me.
Yeah, I have videos on my old laptop, but basically it's really funny because yeah, I grew up like very into K-pop as Leona was into anime. And then I think like last summer I had dinner with one of my best friends from home, and we've never talked about like Asian media ever because she's white and I'm Asian. Okay.
It's a funny sentence.
Yeah, it's a funny sentence. But then all of a sudden we were talking about like what we're watching on Netflix, and she's like, "Oh my gosh, these days I'm obsessed with the Cat's Eye documentary." And I was like, "Wait, what?" And then she's like, "Yeah, I'm like super into K-pop these days." And I was like, "Wait, I'm so confused." And then she just kept going on about like being obsessed with Cat's Eye. She's like, "My favorite's Yoon Chae." And I was like, "I've never heard you pronounce like a Korean name like out of your mouth." It was just so accurate, and I think she really like appreciated like just everything. And she was explaining to me like, "Oh, did you know these people trained since they were like 10?"
It's like, what do you mean, did you know? Did you know? Like,
Yeah, so-
I've known since I was 10. Like, what do you mean?
I think I was a little overwhelmed by having this conversation with her because never in my life did I think like I would talk about K-pop to this friend.
Right.
And then she was like kind of reverse trying to teach me about like what K-pop is and how the industry is operated, but I've known like most of my life, right? So I think I was just yeah, I was just like, "Oh, like, yeah, like this is how it works." And then we had a really good conversation about it. I think I feel the same way as you, where it's just like at first I was like, "Oh, wait, what?" Like I've known this since like forever. But then at the end I was like, "Okay, at least like I appreciate you like being open-minded enough to like really like learn about this." And now she like really likes K-pop. But yeah, we're in our late 20s, and I think like throughout growing up, like I was just so scared about like sharing with people at school that I liked K-pop.
What's your earliest memory of feeling different for being Chinese?
Yeah, I guess it's just whenever mom and dad called me at school and I would have to pick up and respond in Chinese or in Cantonese. And I would always try to like go to a more secluded place, but then obviously that wasn't always possible. So it's definitely like getting stares or like feeling maybe it was just in my head too sometimes, but
No.
just feeling different.
No, I had the same experience, so it's definitely not just you.
I think my memory is like a little earlier, and maybe like this was the first instance of where I felt different, but I don't think I processed it until later in life.
Oh, that's so relatable.
Okay, and this is relevant to like Chinese New Year because I remember when I was 5, I got in trouble in school because I went to go buy snacks during lunch, and these famous Amos cookies were only 50 cents, and I paid with $100 bill. Okay, maybe was it my fault?
No, continue.
Okay.
Oh wait, like
Yeah.
that was like your New Year's money?
That was my New Year's money.
Aw.
So like I gave the lady
Like, that's all you had from Chinese New Year, yeah.
Are you gonna cry? Oh my god.
I mean, like, I'm just picturing little Julia, like, I want these cookies.
Well, I was kind of confused because like then the lady took my money and then she's like, "You have to come with me." So then I ended up in the principal's office or something, and they called mom in.
I kind of remember this.
Yeah, and then they're like,
yeah,
"Did she
she
steal
steal?
this money?"
I remember
and I
that.
was like, I was so confused because it's from my red pocket that I got, and then when we got home, I got a little spanking.
Wait, but they told the principal you didn't, right?
Yeah,
It
so
was
mom,
correct.
I think we came home and then mom was just like, "Don't ever do that again." Like, I think it was just a lot of like explaining as to like where this kid got this money. I totally
Yeah.
understand maybe
Yeah.
where like the monitors or the teachers like had that thought process.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I don't know. I didn't think that I did anything wrong. But then
Yeah.
when we came home, mom and dad were like, "Just don't bring like
Yeah.
that to school anymore."
And just for anybody who's in the comments that don't understand, like, our parents didn't speak English.
Yeah, they didn't really speak English. And also they didn't give us money for snacks. So like
Yeah.
this was like the only money I had to buy my cookies during lunch.
And the $100 bill wasn't from our parents. It was like from like grandma and grandpa or something. Yeah. When they say like, you know, you're in trouble, like don't make the school call me again. Like it's very stressful for them too. They don't speak English. They don't know what's going on. Like why is my kid in trouble?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. So that was my earliest memory.
Oh man, I'm about to cry just listening to yours. I don't want to tell mine now.
I think I felt worse for mom because I think she was just super like anxious when she was there. And I think she was also really scared.
Okay, so mine was early, kind of like Julia's, around 5, 6. That's when we moved to America, actually. So I didn't speak any English at the time. I only knew Vietnamese and Cantonese. And I remember my very first day of school, I needed to pee, but I didn't know how to ask to like leave the room and use the bathroom. So when dad picked me up after school, I just remember like as soon as I saw him, I started crying and he was so concerned. He was like, "What's wrong with you? Like what happened?" And I told him I just really needed to pee.
Damn. Immigrant struggles. I had a similar story, but it was more funny.
So the party.
Yeah. So
You wanna tell the story. Lighten up the mood.
Well, yeah, I only got my English from watching like Dora or something, but Dora also spoke like Spanish. But Dora was my favorite growing up, yeah, because mom only let me watch Dora. And I was just like so confused. But yeah, one time I was in the carpet in Texas. I was like in kindergarten, and then someone was just like, "Oh, I'm gonna go to the party." And I was like, "Oh, okay, great. See you tomorrow." They come back in 5 minutes. I was like, "The party's over." They're like, "I said potty." And I was like, "What's that?"
Did you ever hide parts of your culture at school? I feel like Leona kind of answered this earlier with like hiding the fact that you have to speak a different language.
Yeah, and then I feel like whenever I could answer in English, I did. Like mom and dad understand like okay or like you know like later.
You know,
like,
you
know stuff like that.
And I would remember you'd get yelled at a lot for that.
Yeah,
as a
I would
kid.
be very like short with my responses, I feel like. And then sometimes I wouldn't pick up their calls because I wouldn't want to speak Chinese in front of like so many people. So then I would just ignore their calls and they'd be like, "Why aren't you picking up?"
Yeah.
And actually I feel so bad about this, but they would get like worried about me obviously because I wouldn't pick up sometimes. So yeah, I feel bad about that. But I definitely felt really weird, and it was also really interesting, but because the community we grew up in was mainly white, but I did have some Asian classmates. It just so happened that none of them spoke their native language. Because I think maybe their families like immigrated earlier, or they were just assimilated fully into the Western culture. But I was actually the only Asian in my immediate friend group that like spoke their native tongue at home. So I think even amongst like my friends who were Asian growing up, it was like I was like super Asian.
I will say though, like I feel like there were more Asians in your class than mine. I think like there were more Asian people moving upstate, like as we
as
grew
time
up.
went on,
as time went on, right? But I will also say I think like our experiences are a little different because you were much young. I mean, not much younger, like 4 years, but 4 years is a lot when you're younger, right?
Yeah.
So I kind of feel like when we moved to the predominantly white place, I don't think you had as big of a shock, I guess, as me, because we moved from I would say predominantly Asian area to a predominantly white area. And I was I think I just turned 12.
I remember it hitting you really hard.
Because I don't know if you guys remembered, but I was popular. Like
Yeah.
before we moved,
Can you imagine?
we moved around a few times growing up, right? And I feel like before that last move, I really liked where we were.
Right.
I had a lot of friends. I was very popular, and then they just moved me to a place where everybody, like, you know, it looked different.
You were different.
I was
Yeah.
well, I thought they were different. but-
Right. Yeah, I guess for me it was different because since I was younger when we moved there,
Yeah.
it was more like, oh, I grew up different than
Right.
everyone else.
Right.
And then so when I went off to college and I met so many Asian people who were a lot more open with their Asian cultures, that was actually like such a shock for me.
Right.
But then for you, like you knew those people
Yeah,
existed out
like,
there.
I knew that it's cool to be Asian, but then I
Yeah.
moved to a place where people were like, "No, that's weird."
I did not know that. So it was really interesting.
I think I was just confused most of the time. Unfortunately, even in this situation, like the best of both worlds, as like best as it can be, where
Yeah.
I think I witnessed like this and then I also witnessed this. So I was kind of like in the middle and I kind of like chameleonized myself in
Yeah.
a way to blend a little
Middle
bit
child
better.
stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, so I don't know. I think like I can talk hours about like growing up in a predominantly white neighborhood and how that affect us growing up and now as adults. But I would say I had like the very typical, like if you just watch like a coming of age movie of like immigrant children growing up in like America, I think that was like kind of my life.
I would agree with that.
Yeah, so I tried really, really hard to fit in at school.
Yep.
But then when I came home, I was just a closeted Asian. I don't know how else to say it. Like,
I couldn't stand her growing up because of it. I think because I knew it was cool to be Asian, I was kind of more like...
I actually, like, I admit, I thought it was really not cool at school, especially. So I had my, like, 5 Asian friends that I tried to keep away from, like, my, like... cheerleader jock like white friends, and I actually tried to be friends with everyone, but
of course.
I didn't really like mesh those two worlds together, and so like it was really actually taxing for me when it came to like high school, because then I'll try to be in all the AP classes because I felt like society wise like
you're Asian, you better be in the AP classes, and
like I need to be smart,
you know?
and things like that, and then I'll be like head of orchestra, and like there's like the orchestra stuff, but then like on the side like I'll just still try to be with the cool kids and like go to all the like the football games and like I don't know, be homecoming queen, which I wasn't. This one was. It was so crazy.
It was really weird.
Crazy. I thought I was gonna be homecoming.
She was really upset when
she was upset.
Told
I was with her. She was like, Leona's homecoming queen and not me? Moi?
Yeah. I was also just very confused about that too. That was an interesting time.
Yeah, I was just like, she came home, like I was in college already. I come home, she had her crown. I was like, can I see that?
Yeah, and then she would like look at it and she'd be like, this belongs to me. Like she was like,
put it on. I was
she's
like,
this should have been mine.
Mom and dad put in a lot of effort for us to stay intact with our Asian roots and our Chinese roots especially. So then it really felt like I was living, or all of us, like we were living like a Hannah Montana life. Like during the school week, we'd be in like a really predominantly white place, and then during the weekends, like our dad would drive us hours to the city just so that we can go to Chinese school. And that's why we all know how to read and write Chinese and speak Chinese. And then every single summer since we were like 5, we would just spend whatever money we had to like go back to Guangzhou to like see our grandparents, like 3 months every single year up until college. So it felt like when I'm in an Asian community, like when I'm surrounded by these people, I'm like, oh yeah, I'm Asian. This is like cool. I can talk about K-pop and J-Chow and anime. But then like when I'm back in, you know, like I don't want to say like our white neighborhood. Like what's a better way to say it?
I mean, like
when we're back like
in the
suburbs, in that kind of community, I'm like masking.
Yes.
Yeah.
I didn't even try to mask. I mean, like, don't get me wrong. Like, I had friends. Like, I made friends and stuff, right? But I think a part of it is also, like, being the eldest. Dad always said, like, oh, being Asian is cool. So, and I think I'm the only one that listened to him. I'm obedient in that sense, right? So, like, I never thought it wasn't cool. But... I don't know. I was a little like, why'd you move me here?
Yeah. I mean, I think we understand why they moved us there.
Yes,
it's just a better like environment and better school system.
Yeah.
I also want to caveat that I personally did not encounter any like outward racism or bullying. Okay. Yeah. So that's why I said I don't want to speak for all of us. Or maybe like people were kind of passive aggressive. They'll say things like, you're the coolest Asian in the school. And I think back then
there's 5 Asians in this school. Thank you so much.
But literally that's what I said. Yeah, I know. I really didn't have a lot of backbone for my culture, my heritage back then.
That's why we clashed on that one topic.
A lot, yeah. And so I think the person that you see today is like quite different from the person that was that I was before. But I think either I was ignorant or I just kind of took those passive aggressive comments as like compliments. But I personally did not get bullied growing up, which I feel very thankful for. But I will let my sisters talk about their own experiences.
Yeah, I think for me too, it's not like I got bullied, but I was just like a really shy kid growing up. And so like I didn't really want like extra attention or to like stand out in any kind of way. So I think just like because of that, I also tried to assimilate, but I think it was slightly different than Julia, where it wasn't like, oh, I want to be like a cool like white person.
Yeah.
I kind of just didn't want to like draw that much attention to myself. So I was like,
But you ended up being homecoming
which
queen.
I was also like, I felt very uncomfortable that night.
Yeah.
Which is really interesting. But
I remember Dad called me. He was like, I thought it was going to be Julia too that I had to watch out for. Like, what is this?
I was going to leave early and then they, I had
they
to
named
stay.
you. Yeah.
But
she was like, damn it, I got to stay for homecoming court.
Yeah. But I think
representation between us, it's fine.
Right. But I think that was for me where it was like, I actually wasn't like, oh, it's lame being Asian necessarily, but I was just like, oh, I feel I don't like standing out.
Yes. Yeah.
And it felt really weird, like getting stares
Yes.
and like just like not having, the same food as people on field trips. And
Yep.
people asking me questions. I hated when people came and asked me questions.
Yeah,
It's like,
yeah.
I don't want to talk to you.
Yeah.
You know?
No, you were very
Like, I
introverted
was
growing
so
up.
shy.
It's true.
I was
It's
like,
true.
please don't ask me why
Yeah.
my parents packed me this for lunch.
Yes.
Like,
Yeah. It's true.
or, like,
it's true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think for me, it's just like growing up as a shy kid, it was just like not necessarily like, oh, I hate my culture. It's just like, please, like,
leave me alone.
leave me alone.
Yep.
Like,
She couldn't even
I don't
ask
wanna-
for extra ketchup.
That's a whole other. That's a whole other story.
A whole other story. It's so
Yeah.
annoying.
So I think in that way, like maybe there was some sort of like I want to hide my culture, but not necessarily because of what it is. But it's like
Yeah.
we just grew up in such a different place that it's like I just wanted to like blend in.
Yeah.
Um,
Okay. So the word bullying, I don't really want to use the word bullying in the context that we have today because I kind of feel like maybe I've been watching too many K dramas or like too many C dramas, but like nobody's ever like grabbed me after school and like beat me up.
burn you with a hair
Like,
curler.
Yeah, burn me with a yeah. Like nobody's ever put their cigarette smoke on my forehead.
That's not funny or not funny, not funny.
Oh.
No,
funny.
no, not funny. Sorry, I was
That'd
just
be horrible.
no, it's just I was watching jujitsu, but sorry. But anyways,
Oh,
yeah. So like I just want to frame it in that respect, right? Because like when like there are actual like very severe forms of bullying, I did not go through that, right? Because I don't want to like minimize what other people went through in comparison.
But this is not a battle of oppression. Like you went through your own stuff too.
Right. But I just want to recognize that, like, I feel like the word bullying has a very strong connotation, right? And I know never went through anything like that intense, but for me, I think it was like kind of like what you said earlier. Like, I didn't even realize it affected me as much as it did until
Later in life.
Again, we moved from a predominantly Asian area to a predominantly white area. And when we moved, I had just turned 12. My birthday's in August and school starts September. And I don't know if you guys know this, but like 12-year-old boys are kind of mean. Two stories. First story, this one's a little lighter. The first story, my first day of school, everybody kept saying, wow, you look like this other girl like in our class. You look exactly like this other girl in our class. So like it wasn't just one person telling me that. It was literally every single person that I spoke to. They were like, you look exactly like this other girl in our class. So I was like, oh, okay, like cool. Like I can't wait to meet her. Like I'm curious like if she really does look like me, right? And then I just remember I met her at lunchtime. She looked nothing like me. She was just the other Asian girl. Like you know, so it's just it was one of those like okay. Like I think that moment I was like, wow, like you guys like we really are like the only two Asians you guys know, right? The other story, the school district that we moved to, at the end of the previous year, they would evaluate who's going to be in an honors class and who's going to be in a regular class the next year, right? Because I was a student new moving in, I didn't take that test or I wasn't evaluated. So they automatically put me in the regular class, which, you know, it's nobody's fault. It makes sense. And there were like 5 Asians in my whole class and everybody was in the honors class. So I literally was the only Asian person in every single one of my regular classes for that year. I didn't like it very much. And then on top of that, there was this one boy, he was Asian and he helped the non-Asian people make fun of me using Chinese. So basically what happened was I don't think he knew Chinese either. Okay, because his Chinese was not good. My Chinese was way better than his Chinese. But basically, just a bunch of white dudes came up to me and like started saying one phrase over and over again. And I like had no idea what they were saying. So I just asked. I was like, what the hell are you guys saying? Like, I don't understand, right? Like, is this what people do up here? Like, this is weird. Like, this is upstate New York, right? And they were like, I'm saying suck my dick in Mandarin. And I don't think that's how I don't think that was how you say suck my dick in Mandarin. Okay. like that was not Chinese. Okay. And then 2, I was like, what, like, it was weird. Like I was 12. But I guess that's when guys start being assholes. They kept saying it for the rest of the year. And I told them to shut up, right? But like it died down. Like I think the newness of it died down. But like I think even until I graduated high school, like once in a while they'll say it still.
That's so annoying.
That is really annoying.
It's so annoying. But I think I was the most mad at the Asian guy.
Yeah, I mean that makes sense. Like, I guess
That's
he was
crazy.
just trying to get brownie points with them. Like, what was he doing?
I think like as an adult looking back, I'm like I don't harbor any resentment because like we were 12, right? But like how much hate did he have for himself that he had to like sell me out to fit in?
I don't know if it's hate for himself, but maybe just insecurity of who he is. It's really interesting. I don't know. I have some international friends and like from Hong Kong or from China. One time someone was just like, yeah, I was in a conversation with people and they were talking about how they grew up in a predominantly white neighborhood and they went through struggles of like not really understanding their Asian identity and getting bullied for being Asian. And they're like, yeah, I never went through that because like I only grew up with like Asian people and like I grew up in Asia, you know? And so I think it's interesting because like for them, like, I don't know, their childhood is just so different. Sometimes I wonder, it's just like, oh, how about if we just grew up in Asia? Like,
wait, or I even think like my LA friends, like they didn't experience
really?
this. Yeah.
because they grew up in there's a lot of Asians in
Yeah,
LA.
exactly. Like I think it was
And when you
just
grow up in your
normal.
community kind of thing.
I will say that I am grateful for the terrible experience though because we all have those friends. They've just been surrounded by Asian people their whole life. I like it's not every person, but I do know people that are uncomfortable communicating with people outside of their race or outside of their culture. I don't have that problem. We don't have that problem because we were forced in that situation to kind of, you know,
Yeah.
I don't want to say assimilate, but like we're able to communicate with a bunch of different people. I'm also grateful for the experience because I think it makes us more empathetic people. There are people who have never had the experience of being the only person that looks a certain way in a room, right? Like having nobody else in the room look like you.
I see.
Yeah.
So I do think it makes us more empathetic as people.
Yeah.
But yeah, like it's so interesting how the 3 of us all moved, but like it's kind of different experiences. I think kids were just meaner at 12.
I think so because I moved when we moved when I was in elementary school, and I think even though I was always aware that I looked different, like kids were a lot nicer in elementary school, where it's like, oh, like everyone just wants to play tag together or like kickball, or like if you were good at like Foursquare, you know, people liked you. But then definitely as we went into middle school and high school, people got meaner.
Yeah.
But I think just at that point, they were very used to seeing me. Like I went to middle school and high school with most of the people that I went to elementary school with.
Right.
So
Yeah. And then also I think for you, like there was a surgence of more Asian people or even minorities moving up to our area as you grew up. I think it started happening with me, then definitely more with you, not a lot with you.
I was like 1 of 5.
Yeah. And then I think this segues into the next question of like, was there like an instance in time where you kind of like reconnected with your Chinese culture, or like, you know, I think we talked a lot about feeling different or feeling a little bit oppressed because of our background or our culture. Was there a moment where you're just like, oh yeah, I'm embracing this, or like I am Chinese?
I'll go first because I think my answer will actually be the shortest. I don't think I was ever disconnected with my culture.
I think I like subconsciously knew, but I, as a person, I'm diplomatic, people pleaser, and I try really hard to fit in. Like Come on. All right.
Yeah.
You know,
No,
I'm self-aware.
You're very self-aware.
queen.
Self-aware
You
queen.
deserve that crown.
Thank
Self-aware
you.
queen.
Yeah. So actually, I think like maybe I predicted this myself even before it happened of my like awakening, where I did write my college essay around this ice rink that we grew up near in Guangzhou, and I think that constructed a lot of my perception of my Chinese culture and heritage because we spent all summers there. So I wrote about like how different I am like in China versus when I'm in America. That was my college essay. You probably read it. It was like so bad. Okay, no comment. Anyways, I think that awakening moment actually came when I went to college, and
Yes.
it was
I was there for it, and it was beautiful.
Yeah,
I was there for it, and it was beautiful.
Yeah, I don't want to say I was ashamed, but I was embarrassed for sure.
Yes.
But
But I think that's normal, and you just wanted to fit in and be cool, and you know, it's
yeah.
normal.
And win homecoming queen.
Yeah,
Shut
but
up. She's already crying on the inside.
yeah, I'm still mourning that crown, bro.
But I was there for the moment it clicked for her, and it was
Yeah.
beautiful to see.
Yeah. It was like the first month, and I went to the club fair. I remember this day like very prominently. It was like super sunny. Everyone was just setting up their stalls. I think at this point in time, I still had predominantly like non-Asian friends. I was like trying to look for friends in college and just going around, and then on the at the corner of my eye, like these people just came and like kind of ran to me, and they were like Asian people. They're like, "Oh my gosh, like, do you want to join our club?" And I was like, "Oh, what club is this?" And they're like, "It's the Filipino club." And I was like, "Oh, okay, yeah, sure, why not?" So I went over, and they were just so welcoming. And I don't know if you guys have, I'm sure you guys have like Filipino friends.
They're the
like,
best.
they're like so nice. So then they just kept like following up with me and like inviting me to a lot of things. And there was like a Chinese international club. I think that was those were the only two Asian clubs on campus, but I actually didn't really resonate with international Chinese kids as much as I did with like just like the general Asian American community, which joined the Filipino club because they were just so nice, and they danced and they sang, and they were just like super cool. So yeah, I'd like to shout out my fellow Filipino brothers and sisters. Like, they were just very welcoming.
Y'all throw the best parties.
They threw the best parties.
They were really good parties.
But that's kind of like when I realized, like, oh my god, I'm Asian, and like this is fun,
and it's okay.
Yeah, and there's a community, and people looked like me, and yeah, I think that's when I started to transition to becoming more Asian and having more Asian friends.
Well, I think for me, it wasn't like I ever tried to. I don't know if it.
Yeah, because you never
How to
really
say
like
this?
hit it.
Yeah.
No, I did. But I
Oh.
hit a lot of stuff.
Oh shit.
That's what I'm saying.
Like
It
your money?
wasn't just like my. Well, yeah, but like it wasn't just. It wasn't because I was like necessarily ashamed of my culture. It was just like I realized there was no one here that I
Yeah.
could connect with.
Right.
So I think
That's a really good point.
because I did ask like the Asian people in my grade. I was like, do you watch anime?
Yeah.
And then like they would be like, no. And I actually tried to make one of my best childhood friends like watch anime. Shout out to Eileen. I would just be like, you need to watch this, and then she was just not that into it.
Yeah.
But she would
You
give
know
it a
who you
try.
made watch? Me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
that's
then
true.
you got me in trouble.
Yeah.
And then
Oh.
Dad banned us from watching
Prince of Tennis.
Prince of Tennis
Yeah.
forever.
That's true.
Because we were just
you
like
never finished it.
obsessed. Yeah, because he was just like, I'm gonna take away your computer.
Well, I finished it. But
Yeah.
anyways, I did still hide the Asian side of me though, just because I knew no one could connect with it that much, like where we grew up.
Yeah.
But it wasn't like a big like revelation for me where I'm like, I'm Asian or like I
Yeah.
love these things because
Yeah.
I think I always did love those things, but I just kept it like at home or to myself or to like me and my like best friend because I knew no one else like was that into it
Yeah.
or like understood.
Yeah.
So I think just going to college, I was very excited to meet people who shared the same interests and same like hobbies and like, you know, I guess love of like certain pop culture. And I think I knew that they existed out there because, you know, you would see in like YouTube comments or like whatever on K-pop videos, you know, so many people like it, but I just hadn't met any of those people in
Yeah.
my life yet.
Yeah.
So I think just going to college and being like, oh, I'm going to get to meet new people. Maybe I will meet some people who are enthusiastic about these same things. And so I did. And I think at first it was a little weird, like talking about it out loud just because I never did it before. And I was like a little shy because I just wasn't used to it. but it wasn't like I was super ashamed to be Chinese or to be Asian or into like K-drama or like anime, even though sometimes like people would joke and be like, "Oh, you're a weeb," and I'd be like, "No, I'm not."
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it was just really exciting being able to find people that I connect with on those ends.
Yeah.
And it's like I still have friends of other races too. It's just like we connect on other things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think just growing up, I never had friends who I could connect with about Asian things.
Mm-hmm.
So that was just super exciting for me. And it is a really big part of who I am. So I think now, like, reflecting on my friend groups, like, they are primarily Asian because my interests are very heavily Asian related because I am Asian.
I actually wanted to segue into that because I get a lot of comments around why I only hang out with Asian people. And for some of my viewers who watch my other channels, I think they see a lot of Asian people on my channel. Like
No
outside
one
of you
ever
guys.
asks a white person why you only hang out with white people.
I know.
Yeah.
Low key, like sometimes I just try to not look at it, or
Yeah.
I used to respond back
Mm.
in the day, like 4 years
Yeah.
ago, 5 years ago, when I started posting, because I felt really strongly about just like kind of explaining my side of the story. But
yeah.
at the end of the day, I like stopped trying to fight these comments. Yeah, you're so right. Like no one ever questions why like people of
Never.
like the same color hang out
Yeah.
together. Or like I think minorities just tend to stick together sometimes because like
We have to.
it's just more, you can relate to them a lot more. But I think you kind of packaged it very nicely where yeah, a lot of my interest today as an adult like is because is rooted from me being culturally Asian.
Yeah.
And so like the people who understand that just I would be like much closer to, and therefore there are other Asian people.
One of my closest friends I made in college, like he's Peruvian, but he loves anime, he loves K-pop. He was actually on like CASA e-board, like our Korean American Student Association, like college group.
Mhm.
So it's not really like a you have to look
Right.
Asian thing.
Right.
It's more so like we just connect on
Yeah.
those interests.
One of my best friends, well, actually two of them in college, they're Italian Catholic, and I actually think that they're more Asian than me. like their values like are very similar, right? But I was gonna say like I also have friends that aren't Asian, but my closest friends are all Asian, and I think it just makes sense because there are experiences that are shared that I don't have to explain.
Yeah. I also don't feel like I need to justify myself to tell
No.
my audience that I have non-Asian friends. Like,
Yeah,
I definitely do. We live in a blended culture
Yeah.
and like a
we live in New York.
Yeah, we live in New York.
Like you can't avoid people.
Yeah.
Except for if you live in LIC, which none of us do. And I think that is like a strong,
yeah.
you know, point
Indicator.
for us.
Yeah.
You know?
Like Loki, I don't think any of us want to live in LIC.
No.
Like if I want to be in China, I'll just go back to China.
Yeah.
Like it's but I do like LIC. Don't
Yeah,
like, I don't
yeah,
wanna
no
shit
hate
on
for LIC.
I actually hang out there quite a lot. But
Sponsor us, LIC.
our favorite karaoke place is in LIC.
That's true.
Yeah, when's that vlog coming out?
Soon.
Okay.
Soon, yeah. I don't know, growing up, I tried so hard to like assimilate, right? So
Yes.
I'd ask a lot of questions about other people's culture.
Yes.
But when I meet someone that is not of my culture, that is not a minority,
Yeah.
they rarely ask me about
Yes.
my culture. So I think I did have one best friend growing up. Like she was very curious about Vietnamese culture, about like the food that I eat, the language that I speak, what I do when I go back to Asia for the summer. And I think that's why we were super close growing up. And I really appreciated that connection. But not a lot of people are like that. Yeah.
I don't know if you guys remember this, but one of my best friends in high school, she was German, and we had to do a group project together. So she actually came over to the house, and she stayed for dinner. I don't know if you guys remember this, but it was the first time in her life that
she had fish.
she had fish. You remember this, right? And Chinese fish, like everything is still there. Like the head is there, the eyeballs are still there. She had a culture shock.
Yeah.
But she was like she was down to try it, you know? So it's kind of like the open-mindedness more so
yeah.
than anything else.
So look, I guess like bringing it back to the trend, if
Yes.
people are actually open to like
Yeah.
under like I don't know, I guess like sometimes the jujube or like
Yeah.
the goji berries, they
Yeah.
look kind of weird, you know? Like if you're open to trying it,
Yeah.
I'm more than happy to teach you about my culture and like you can totally like be in a very Chinese time of your life. But I just think like growing up, like not a lot of people were actually that curious or that interested in learning.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I think like you know, like this has brought up more trauma for me that I realized I even had, right? But I think the trend is a good thing because again, culture is meant to be shared.
Yeah.
I think that if we can get to a place, I think a lot of like ignorant, I think a lot of ignorance comes from lack of understanding. Yeah, I mean, like it's like
Yeah,
duh.
obviously.
Yeah, I'm like, duh.
I'm Asian
Yeah.
and she was white.
Right. But yeah, so I kind of feel like this trend, generally speaking, it's good, right? As long as it's done in like a respectful, open-mindedness, like curiosity kind of point.
Yeah.
I feel like it's a really good thing because I don't want any Asian kids going through what we went through, right?
Yeah, I was also gonna say like the curiosity thing or like wanting to learn is really good, but then also just remembering that at the end of the day we're all people regardless of like
Yeah.
what culture we come from or like what color our skin is. Because I also had a best friend growing up. She was white, and I feel like when it was ever me like coming over to like her family or her coming over to my family, it wasn't like yes, she would be insightful or like inquisitive and like ask questions, and I would ask questions about her family, but it never felt like because we're so different,
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
we have different expectations for each other, or like she was never the type to be like, oh, because you're Asian you should be good at math, or like, you know, I know that you're Asian, so like this thing about you. It was more so just like, tell me about your culture, but then also like tell me about you.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. The people who are possessive, if you will, or like territorial about certain things in certain cultures, I don't think I'm like that because there are so many things from other cultures that I appreciate, right? Like I'd be so sad if I could never have Mexican food again. You know what I mean? Like if I could never have halal again because it's somebody else's culture. I think the good stuff we should share.
Yeah.
That's the point.
Okay, so I wasn't aware of this trend before, but I like truly think I'm in a very Chinese time in my life. Because like, no, honestly, even though I'm Chinese, like growing up, my parents would always tell me like, drink warm water or like hot water in the morning, and like I wouldn't really want to do that. Like I'd be like, put some ice in that. But recently, like I love drinking hot water.
Can I tell you
warm water
something?
in the morning?
That's not Chinese. That's called aging.
Yeah, that might be it too.
Wait, low-key, this is also aging. I was just like, oh, am I into TCM or am I just like
No, I'm
trying
aging.
to anti like
Dude, I
age?
love stretching. I've been walking with my hands behind my back unknowingly. You know?
Yeah.
Oh,
Okay, wait.
man.
Maybe
No.
we're all just aging.
Yes, I
Yeah.
literally just said that. I'm
Yeah.
telling you that's what it is. Because I've always been in
Probably.
a Chinese time in my life. And this is aging.
I've been
Yeah.
craving like Chinese karaoke.
Mm.
Yeah.
You know how to read? You know how to read that word right there?
Shut up.
Have you guys ever gotten the "you're so pretty for an Asian"?
Oh, yeah.
I don't think I have.
Ever?
No.
Damn.
Yeah.
I can pinpoint the first time it happened. It's happened multiple times, but the first time it happened for me, like I can still remember it.
I just remember it happening all throughout high school because
Yep.
there was this other Asian girl that they compared me to, and I was just like, I don't know why. Yeah, you know the one.
Yeah.
I know the one.
Yeah, I'm just like,
weird.
oh, okay, like we don't look alike, but sure. Like I've also gone, you're the coolest Asian at this school.
Oh, that's not good.
I guess like see
Why
see,
can't I just
oh,
be cool?
I feel like I've gotten exotic.
I've gotten exotic too.
Yeah.
I've gotten exotic too. No, I've gotten exotic too, but it was from like, to be fair, it was from like a 65-year-old lady.
Yeah.
And she meant it like nicely, but
Right.
like in my head, like outwardly, I was like, oh, thank you. But in my head, I was like,
Yeah.
girl, I'm Chinese, like Vietnamese, but like we're overpopulated. What you mean exotic?
Or like I've gotten called like pet names like China doll or like
oh
you
my
know.
god.
But like usually by like in like a friendly manner too.
No, the China dolls, it's always like street calling.
Oh,
I mean,
yeah.
last week, like Yuan and I were at a bar, and this guy was just like staring at us, and I stared back, and he's like, "Are you guys Korean. And then-
do we want to
Bruh.
talk about that for a second? Do we want to talk about that for a
Well,
second?
I was just like, no. And then he's like, okay. I was like, you're not gonna like what? And then he's like,
Oh.
so what are you? And we're like, we're Chinese. And he's like, oh, okay. And then he leaves.
Listen, I'm so happy for my Korean brothers and sisters that their K-pop is taking off, right? They deserve all the success. But there was a period of time where I feel like everyone was just like guessing what kind of like Asian I am, and everyone just guessed Korean. And I'm like, just statistically, it doesn't make sense. If you don't know how to tell the different Asians from each other, right? That's fine. That's fair. I can't tell the whites from each other, like the different, like if you're, you know, Italian or Greek or whatever, right? Fine. It's fair. But then statistically, it would just make the most sense to guess Chinese. You know what I mean? We're overpopulated. But no,
Yeah.
everyone, like, I literally had someone tell me, like, oh, like, you're Korean, right? And I'm like, no, I'm Chinese. And then he literally said, but you're pretty. And I was
Yeah.
Oh my
like,
god.
Icky. that's so icky.
That's
No.
so
Wait,
icky.
but I don't know. I just would logically think that the people who just assume your race are just not intelligent people, because there's no way that I just go up to a random white person. It's just like, you look Italian.
Yeah.
Like, what the fuck? No,
Yeah.
you're probably just like a mix of white.
Yeah.
Like, or I go up to a
Right.
black person. You look Nigerian. You look South African. How the fuck would I know?
You wouldn't?
I wouldn't know. Like, why
That's
are you taking
true.
a guess? Just ask like politely.
I don't know why people do
What's
that.
your ethnicity? Like,
Yeah,
you
I
can
don't
just
know why
ask
people do
very
that.
nicely. Not to sound narcissistic, but I don't think I'm ugly. But like growing up,
No, we're not the prettiest girls in the world, but we're not the ugliest either.
no, sure. But growing up, I don't think like I was super wanted by the guys at our school because they're not Asian. They're all like white, right?
Mm.
And I don't know. There's a lot to this of like being objectified by men or like
And that's a whole other
wanting to be
episode, girl.
men-centric.
That's
yeah.
a whole other episode.
But I've just noticed that like yeah, I wasn't super popular with like the guys in terms of not like friends, but like in terms of romantic interest.
yeah.
But then once I got to college, I was
Oh, yeah.
She was
so
popular.
like I mean, but I'm speaking for all of us ladies in this room holding a mic
Yeah.
right now. The three of us. And so I was just like, oh, that's like interesting. Cause like, yeah, I mean,
Not to toot my own horn, but like I was so no, I'm mocking you.
yeah, like I was just
No, but
so
she really
confused.
was.
She was
really
popular.
I was like
She's
really
still popular.
confused.
Yeah, she's still very popular.
Wait, but I would say the same for you guys.
I didn't say I wasn't popular. I was popular.
Yeah, I don't know. It was just so different. That's also how I knew. I was just like, oh wow, maybe I am pretty.
Well, it's just like the for in Asian thing, right? It just automatically means that anyone who's not Asian is prettier than me.
Yeah.
Like to me, that's how I interpreted it.
yeah,
Right? The first time somebody said to me, "You're so pretty for an Asian." Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So the prettiest Asian in the world is still uglier than the ugliest white person in the world. Is that what you're saying? That's what I got. So
Loki, it does kind of come off that way.
it does. That's how I
Yeah.
received it. Anyways, for those of you guys who are in a very Chinese time of your lives, I support you.
Yeah.
We support that, right?
Wish you the best with
Yes.
your hot water.
And maybe we'll make some shorts or like another YouTube video with some tips.
I think this also just covered the tip of the iceberg for us. Obviously, we have been Chinese our entire lives. And there's just a lot like growing up.
Really?
Yeah. Chinese, Vietnamese. Maybe we can talk about like how it's been like growing up with two different Asian cultures in one household. There's just so much that we can chat through, and I can talk about this for hours, but we gotta cut this off because it's been like way too long.
Yeah, I feel like today's episode was a lot. Like there was a lot in there to unpack.
真的.
Cinema.
真的.
Oh, there's
You
an
know.
idea for a vlog for us in the future to only speak Chinese for 24 hours. So Leona's practicing.
She's not gonna 24 hours.
She'll just stop talking.
Yeah, she'll just stop
She just
talking.
wouldn't talk. She'll be like,
Start, like sign language. Thanks for tuning in, and we hope you have a great Chinese New Year's. This has been
"Do
Ray Me
girls."
Please remember to comment, like, and subscribe down below. See you next time.
Bye bye.